guest, also my sister, Fajr DeLane, who is the founder of the F3 Fun, Fit, and Fabulous. And I'm so excited to sit down with her today and just get to know who you are, how you founded this brand, what inspired you. So first off, for our audience, let's just get a little background of who you are and just everything that you've been doing so far.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you being here today, sister. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited about this launch. Fun, Fit, Fabulous, Still I Rise, new logo, okay, new logo alert. Still I Rise has so much great meaning. Fun, Fit, Fabulous is an organization that really helps girls and young women feel their best, be their best, and live their best lives through a health and wellness approach. And I just feel like we're all going through this journey called life. And I always just trying to make sure that we're having a peaceful, exciting journey while we're here. You know, so I'm really loving the brand the more older I get, because here I was, this little girl who had a lot of dreams and aspirations, and seeing the things that I did, like, and how intentional I was, really worked in my benefit, even though there was a lot going on in my environment. That I just, like, I'm so blessed that God has helped me, like, come up with something that I could kind of package and, like, let the community know how to basically live their best lives. So it's a personal brand for me, but it's for the girls, the women, and when it comes to the merch, it's definitely more of the mature, sophisticated side. So we definitely have the philanthropic side, which is like the give back, little kids, stuff like that. But then there's also the sophisticated older side, like, hey, we women out here learning, growing, and doing it. So
yeah. So how has it been transitioning? Because you started this in high school. So from your previous Fajr to the Fajr that you are now, how do you feel like that brand has altered with the new women that you became?
Yes, girl, it really has. Like, y'all, this is my third logo. Like, this, it's a physical representation of rebirth. And, you know, they say, like, every 7 years our cells literally change. We're in a whole nother body. Did you know that? Yeah, new cycle. So, like, I love it when you're founding something. I always tell people, don't be afraid. You gotta stick to what you started off with. Like, I bet you there were so many evolved logos, which is so many different things and just all types of brands. So, like myself, yeah, I started off in high school, junior, did a camp in my neighborhood, and then did several camps along my way in college. And then I got invited to South Africa for one of my years for Fun and Fabulous. And at that point, I was so excited to represent as an ambassador that I created my own Fun and Fabulous journal. So now I use that journal to help young girls. I got it copyrighted, so I feel like, okay, period. I'm hoping to, like, probably put it on Amazon or something at some point. But I'm really proud of that because it's just like some of the things I've been through, and then it gives them a way to, like, work out of it. And it deals with, like, mentorship, healthy eating, vision board, writing out your emotions. So that's really great. So yeah, just did some experience internationally, and then on a local level in Athens, Georgia, this past spring, I worked at the Boys and Girls Club. So I took my camp that was one day and extended it out to like 14 and 15 weeks. And isn't that crazy? So, like, and I was so grateful for the opportunity that I was like, we gotta make this thing work, you know? And the girls loved it so much. Hayyah, like, it was one of those things. Here I am, still in my journey. I'm still in school, like, struggling, like, trying to make it and stuff. But I was just sharing, like, my experience in those girls' shoes. And to this day, they text me and call me like, I really enjoyed that Fun Fit Fabulous program, and I'm still working out of that journal, and are you gonna do it next year? Like, so it was just so beautiful to me to see, because I feel like I'm still growing, but, like, God still gives us so much gifts that we can give back just by showing up or just by sharing a good message. So just with the evolution, I think I was really in it for a time, but then I think the more older I got, like, the more, I guess, deeper knowledge of the organization kind of came to me of, like, there's deeper meaning to life. Like, there is the exciting 1, 2, 3, but then there's certain things we go through as young women that is like, okay, how do I navigate this hard conversation, or all these emotions that I'm going through, whether it be relationships, changing cities, or whatever the case may be that, like, you may be all up in your head about. So I just want to give this a platform, like, hey girl, I see you, we gonna get through this and be rising through it.
That's really good. And then, like, I'm even thinking, what would be if you could give your Fajr when she was first entering, just thinking of this idea of like, I want to do a camp for girls, a mentorship camp, an empowerment camp. What would one piece of advice that you would give her if you could, just through everything that you've learned so far and everything that you have been able to do, what would be your one sound advice?
So this would be advice to myself?
Your advice of you now, giving advice to your younger self.
Ooh, girl. Advice, I would say, be ready for the ride.
Okay.
Be ready for the ride. you have to go on a ride of journey of life, you know. So that is something that I would definitely say, because I feel like that's what journey has been like. A lot of like life has happened. So just being like, hey, you about to experience some things, but God got you. You gonna be okay. So I think that's what I would say.
But let's talk about this new launch. Okay, so as y'all see, we have the new collection, the hoodies on.
Yes.
Still I rise.
Okay. Yeah, the back cam. Yeah, I know.
My back don't go that far. But
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so she has the angel wings on the back. So just talk about like what inspired this new collection for you and the meaning of Still I Rise.
Yes.
What does that mean for you?
Yes, it means so much. I think at this time that I came up with this, if you guys did not know, it was actually a while ago that I came up with this. I was going through a really tough time. A lot of changes. I had graduated from Howard 2020. The whole COVID thing happened. It was just like the world was shut down. I moved to New York for work. So I did that for a year. I was in Queens. I was working in Manhattan, but we were kind of online as well because the world was shut down. And then I ended up moving down to Georgia. So where you guys are and stuff like that. But then I was thinking about grad school. I had a scholarship still for it. So I just decided to go ahead and do that. And it was just a lot of changes. And at that time too, I was in a relationship that I used to be in, and rekindled that whole situation. Ended up being a whole journey in itself, but ended up not working out and things like that. So I feel like I was at a really low point because everything I thought I knew, like I graduated, I'm starting my life. I graduated in COVID. Like everything I was so excited about life just was not life in how I thought it was. And then, you know, it's just so many changes. So I feel like I was at a low point, but I'm like, I feel like God did not bring us this far just to bring us this far. So I was just like, I feel like even though there's a lot of hardships and adversity and challenges, I feel like I'm still rising. God is still going to make me rise through this, you know? And I feel like there was a point in my life too, I had to be still. So the duality of Still I Rise is a two-way meaning. Is still I rise, despite adversity, I'm still rising. I'm still elevating. God still got us. And it's also being still, and I'm still rising. So sometimes you gotta quiet the noise. You gotta just let God talk to you, or just be in your thoughts, or be whatever, to like get to that new level, to know that new direction. So I really felt like, even though it was difficult what I was going through, I felt like a lot of people in our 20s and 30s is going through so much of that, like trying to make it, trying to make a name for yourself, going through so many changes, maybe in school, trying to work a part-time job, not having that much money you want, but then like, you know, trying to get your education, but it's just like, you could be making money. It's just so much mental stuff we be going through, but I just feel like through it all, we're still rising. So with that whole thing, I was trying to come up with a new launch for you guys, but then while I was talking to the person who was helping me create that idea of like the angel wings, we decided just to do a whole new logo. So the new logo, as you guys can see, it is an F and a 3, and it's also half of the angel wing. So that way I call anybody who's in the Fun for Fabulous community Fabulous Angels. So Hayyah, you are an official Fabulous Angel. Okay. Certified. Yeah, so you guys are like in the logo, where I would used to in my old logos have to explain it separately because it wasn't in there. So I'm just so happy now because I really feel like it's at a point where it represents like who you guys are, who I am, and it also says F3 within it. So yeah, so that's kind of how that kind of came about.
So for just a little people who don't know, just kind of elaborating more on the F3. I mean, Fun Fit Fabulous, but you can dive into that a little bit more of just what that each variation means and how that ties into the overall just message that you're putting out.
Okay, great. Thank you for that question. Yeah, so Fun Fit Fabulous is really like mainly a self-motivation of like, those are like the 3 principles I just try to keep in mind. Even, you know, us growing up in Islam and things like that, of just like having a balanced life. Like I always say, it's a lifestyle, not really a religion. So I'm always like, okay, well, what type of lifestyle we live? We need to be balanced, you know. So we can't be having all fun all the time, but we can't be like, have like hard work all the time. Like you have to have a balance. So I think that always was like, oh, that makes sense to me. So I think that life can be like feeling so serious, but it's like, okay, how can I have fun doing this? Like there's certain things we have to do that's like not that fun, but it's like, how can I make it fun? How can I add my own flair? So fun is always like, okay, how can I see the beauty in this day? It may be gloomy today, but guess what? We're gonna have some fun. We're gonna find the joy in it. And then the fitness part is more of like, okay, having like a nutritional and physical balance as well. Like making sure we're striving to put good things in our bodies so that we're at longevity and able to show up as our best selves. And then for the physical activity part, it's like getting your body moving. So sometimes you may be feeling down and everything, but really what you need to do is just move your body, go for a walk, you do some dancing. Oh yeah, Hayyah used to dance. Okay,
Yeah.
she was really good too. Yes, Hayyah was a dancer. Like what was it before like TikTok was a Vine?
Vine?
What was the platform that you used to do?
I was on Instagram.
Before that.
The Dove Smash?
Yeah, the Dove Smash. Hayyah was killing it. Like in her middle school, her friends. I was like, I don't know, but my sister, she was like famous on there. Like I even had people in high school like, what was your own? I don't even know what your own name was. But like that's your sister. She could dance, you know. So
I love her, y'all. She's really hyping that up.
No, like she really
not that serious.
She was trending before trending was a thing, I think. But yeah, so just expressing yourself. I feel like the fitness part is just a great way to get your body moving. And then I think ultimately fabulous. Fabulous is just something that like I've always been into, like looking good, feeling good. You know, they said feel good, you look good, you do good. So fabulous is an expression of your authentic self. You know, before it was like certain magazine girls, it's the only pretty girl, you cover girl, whatever. But I really feel like everybody's fabulous. Everybody's beautiful in their own way. You know what I'm saying? God created us in different shapes and sizes. As long as we're doing the best we can, you're creating your own way. Some people are really small, some people are really big, and they're living a fit life. And you got some small people eating like hot Cheetos all the time, you know, and there's some people doing in between. Yeah. So it's just like fabulous. It's like representing your authentic self, feeling good, loving yourself, no matter what size you are, but feeling like you're giving your best out there. And I feel like you're automatically fabulous. When you're radiant within and got all those internal tools, you're naturally fabulous. So that's where like the Fun Fit Fabulous, I guess, full picture kind of comes into play of what they all mean.
And I would say even in the society nowadays, how did you feel like you navigated your way of just being a young Muslim black woman at that, living in Athens, Georgia, which is, I mean, there's a few sprinkle of y'all, but not really like much at all. So, you know, moving into a new environment and learning how to embrace that, but also embracing yourself through the process.
Thank you so much for that question. Yeah, that was a big transition. And I think that like, even in our lives, we lived so many different places and things like that. So I was born in DC, you were born in Malaysia. Fun fact, I don't know if y'all know about that. And we also lived in California. So here we are like moving almost every year, it felt like. And then, so we were on the West Coast. I also lived in New York up north. I've also lived in DC and in the South. So it's like different types of people in these different locations. So I guess when it came down here, I was definitely nervous because they say, oh, it's the South or whatever. Like a little bit just coming from the West Coast, they're like, oh, I don't know, like down there. But I come down here, it's not even like,
I like this.
I like it, yeah. So I really do like the South. So I think I just really came in ambitious, you know. I felt like being a Muslim, and I started wearing my hijab in middle school when we were in Cali, and it was like no Muslims around. So it's kind of like I was always on this journey, like it don't matter if everybody's not doing it, this is what I'm doing, you know. So I just kind of always not been like, oh, I have to follow follow the crowd type of thing. It's just like, okay, what is God telling me to do? So I want to be honest about it. Like, I know when I first started wearing my hijab, I was kind of nervous because I'm like, oh, I feel like I'm putting my hair in a ball. Like, especially as a girl, it's like our kind of accessory. And it's just like, oh, I'm going to be ugly. Who's going to like me? Like, that's what I was just going as an insecure, like, little girl, just not really knowing. But it was just something Allah told me to do. And it was hard. I was losing friends. Like, it was like, ooh, it was tough. But I did it for a while, and I was going through a lot, and there are a lot of people always ask me about Islam all the time. I'm like, I'm here to study, like, I'm here to get the education, but y'all, since they don't see nobody and they're just talking, so I gotta be nice because I'm like, I don't want to put a bad impression on it, but I'm like, I'm still like trying to get my education, and it's just like a lot to balance. So at some point, it all ended up working out. So that summer, I started, you know how you come into the new year, this is what I'm doing? I did it in the beginning, like the middle of the year. So, girl, I'm going to school like no scarf, right? And then I come back from winter break. Also, so I was like, they're like, what's going on? I'm in the same like class. They're like, what happened to you? And then so that was the whole thing. But what I did that summer, girl, I was into basketball. I was like, this thing really allowed me. I was very hurt, like losing friends and everything. But I was like, okay, God, I know you told me to do this, so I don't think you're steering me the wrong direction. So I really like started investing into myself. I was running the little lights for basketball, doing my drills, doing Ramadan.
She was getting down. She was not playing. When I say Fajr, she literally had a chart sheet of drills, like every single day. She had to hit every single drill. However, I don't even know how many, but I vividly remember a phase of Fajr with a basketball. And when I say she was like devoted every single morning, you would just hear that ball dribble, dribble, dribble. She was getting down.
I was getting down. Like, I had to decide. I felt like I was late too. I decided this in middle school. I'm like, if I'm trying to be great, I gotta start from
y'all. This is middle school. Keep this in mind. Like, imagine like what is sixth, seventh grade?
Yeah.
Literally a child waking up every single morning. I just making sure she knocks everything out. But I think that just goes to show like your discipline and just like that mindset that you are in.
Yeah.
And I think that is actually so, now that I'm thinking about it, like in middle school, like you really, to have that kind of like, I don't know, just evolution in your mind. It's like, I want to do this for me, and just sort of like, even you speaking on like listening to God and what you feel like that conversation between y'all were and acting upon it at such a young age, I think is very profound.
Oh, thank you, sis. I'm very proud of you.
Girl, you know, like, that was
that means so much, and especially like you seeing me from your lens, you know what I'm saying? I was trying to make some shake, girl.
Yeah. I'm like, this girl is crazy.
What do you think we gonna do, dude?
I was just like, oh no, I'm gonna let this sleep. But God, definitely like being older, looking, I'm like, wow, that's really amazing. But
yes, and I feel like I looked at the greats too, like Michael Jordan, Muhammad Ali, you know, Malcolm X. At a young age, those stories captivated me so much. I'm like, this is like resonating with me. You know, it was so. I didn't like those people. I'm just like, oh, they're just so great. Like, and I don't know. So I was like, I gotta be great too. Like, they out here hustling, doing it. So I was like, I ain't got no time to waste. So that's just a little bit kind of about my bad. But yeah, those are some people I also just align myself with, that I feel like even today carry so much. And fun fact, y'all, I know Malcolm X's daughter. I have her number. I'm really honored about that. So long story short, like, I've always been admired by his story, and I was able to meet Malcolm X's daughter in New York City. I think it was his passing, so the day he got passed away, they had an event, and it just felt so magical. She's tall, and she gave me her number. Like, she just feels like so surreal. Like, she just has an essence about her. But I'm like, here's these people I was looking up to and able to really connect with in real life. And she checks up on me too. So I gotta call her. She was on the road the other day, but
networking. So speaking of networking, and just how do you feel like your brand has carried you into different just rooms and being able to network with different people using that as just sort of like a conversation?
Huge, yes. So I would say, like, you know, consistency is key, and you never know like when it's going to take off, when it's going to catch up, or when it's going to take its own life. You know what I'm saying? Thinking about it, I started this in high school. I am 25 now. It's been some time. But I've been in school this whole time. So it's like, I couldn't really devote so much time to because I got to devote myself to all these other things. But I try to do something. Like, my thing, I always feel so frustrated because I'm like, oh, I'm still in school. I can't put all this time. But I try to do at least something sometimes. And it's taken a long way. So first started off with the camp, and then it became like I did the merch and everything. But I feel like that's where I feel like I really started to network, because that's where it became you and me and my friends and older people or celebrities or whatever the case may be. It became bigger, and I was like, that's how I also get people connected. So I never been afraid of networking. I went to Howard University. I was in nursing first, and then I used to go to my dorm, and the girls would come home like wearing their business suits. And all I remember seeing was like Nick Cannon stopped by Howard, Michelle Obama stopped by Howard. I'm like, where at Howard did they stop by? The school of business. And I'm like, I don't know what is going up in there, but I didn't get myself up in there. So it wasn't even an educational, like, mental thing. It was just like, all I know is everybody coming up in here. I didn't get up in here. Sure enough, I get up in there. It's about networking, connecting, making sure you get that, what's your elevator pitch, you know, that type of thing. So I already was kind of doing that in high school, but it really like emphasized like, no, this is key, like, you know. So I made sure to take that, and like, even when it comes to business or just what I'm doing, hey, my name is Fajr DeLane. I have my own organization called Fun Fit Fabulous. It's a health and wellness program for young girls and women to help live their best lives. So it's just kind of generally something I've just been doing, and I feel like it also represents myself. So it's not really hard for me to like talk about. But yeah, I think networking has definitely expanded and shown up for me in so many great ways. So even this year, I was just selected to be one of the American delegates going to Rome, Italy.
They don't need no extra guests.
Okay. Yeah. Oh yeah, girl. You want to come to my hotel? I mean, girl, in the face. Like, okay, so we may see about that. So here I am. But in the question too, somebody reached out to me to apply because they're like, you got your own organization, help them want us, you're really making an impact. So here I was just doing what I'm doing, and it's like kind of speaking for me in rooms. I'm like, oh, okay. Or even when I started my public health journey, they were like, the part where I'm like, Fun Fit Fabulous, it's a mental, physical, and spiritual experience. They were like, you also were helping girls' minds, getting positive. So like, that's also mental health. So there was things and chapters of other people also like bringing a forefront of what I'm already doing to like enhance it. So that networking has been really great. So I feel like Fun Fit Fabulous has grown so much with me, and people are seeing like it's something so needed, especially in our community. So networking is huge for me, and it's literally, the brand is now, I feel like it's speaking for me. Like, people are trying to do newsletters, and I'm just like, I remember doing this and knocking on people's doors and like trying to get a couple of dollars to rent out a room. And now people are like, this is actually very revolutionary and really needed, and you know, we really think that this could help change lives. And I'm like, I've always felt that, but like, it's now in more of a professional setting. So I'm really grateful for that. So I think it was just sticking with it and seeing how like God works through people to like help bring that to life.
I wonder, like, in your journey, do you feel like you ever experienced like imposter syndrome with dealing with your brand? Imposter syndrome, and for those who don't know, it's sort of like that battle between, in your mind, of, am I, you know, you start questioning, like, everyone's like, oh, you're really, you know, they're showing you you're capable of this, your brand is so amazing, and you're doing this, that, the third, and then you'll still be in your brain like, am I even, is this really me doing this? Like, am I even worthy of, you know, the things that I'm doing? It'll all be played out, but still you'll be like, you know, it just doesn't really feel like I'm the one accomplishing these things.
Yes.
You know? So
very
if you have experienced that, like, how did you, if you are still experiencing it from time to time, or is that something you've overcame? And if so, how did you do so?
That's a great question. And I'm glad you asked that, because that is so real. And I think the time I started, I'm not like 50, who's like established, have my whole life, and I'm just like, I'm starting something. I'm like in the midst of like so much changes, moving, school, stuff like this, jobs, that like, I'm always kind of in imposter syndrome. And I mean, times are changing, social media changed. I first had a website. Then at some point, I think mom was so irritated with me posting Fun Fit Fabulous stuff so much on my Fun Fit, like my personal. I was like, well, I'm gonna make my own thing then about it, you know. So it's like trying to like evolve with the times, and then like once you do that, then it's like, oh well, Reels is out. Like, okay, how do I get on that? So it's just like a lot of like different changes. So I think like for me of like trying to seem dedicated and dedicated, I guess, to jobs, but it's just like I still got my own thing as well. So I think I've constantly always been like, what do I do? Or like even trying to get people to help me with the page. I used to be like, how can I do this all by myself? I need to hire people. But it's like, how can I hire people when I'm in school and I don't even have a real income? Like, you know? So there were so many things that I think I was always battling of valid. Is this even valid? And what am I even still doing? But there was, you know, when you're about to like let it go and then God like show you the light. Like at this point, I'm just like, I be talking about this. I don't got no leads. I don't know about grants. I don't know how to get into these places. All I just know is like me knocking on doors and like renting a facility. The person I'm working with right now, his name is Tyreek. He knows the people at the Boys and Girls Club. He put in the work for me and said, there's this girl who got this program for these young girls. They ended up calling me and I ended up doing something new, making a whole curriculum. So it was like, now my brand is expanding and stuff into the program. I was like, huh? Like I had no idea. I thought it was the process was so complicated and all this type of stuff. So I feel like I've constantly been battling those things. But I think to make it fun was like, okay, I gotta change it up. I gotta make it new. So I think that's kind of how I dealt with it. But I definitely feel like I definitely suffer from that quite a bit. But that's when I just like, okay, I'm just gonna appreciate what I can do, when I can do, and like go from there. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I feel like throughout this whole journey, I've always felt like that. Like, am I doing too much by having this organization? I don't know too much people who do have an organization. And it's like, who am I really when I can't hire people and, you know, I'm not even in the position to even support myself with it. So there's a lot of like of those validations that I mentally go through. But then I look at, wow, but sometimes it's an internal transfer. Maybe it's an energy transfer. Maybe it's an uplifting transfer. And that is just as important because that is sometimes giving you purpose. We're sometimes doing jobs just for like money or to pay our rent. But you need to also have something that like brings you joy, that lights you up. So when I started looking at it, that's when it was valuable, but not just always monetary. But like it'll be great for the monetary and the passion to go through. But right now I'm just enjoying what it is doing for me. Mm-hmm. And honestly too, it's opened up so many doors for me to even start speaking different places. So now I talk about my organization, which I love to do, like getting food out or stuff like that. Like okay, like in a respectful manner, okay. And it's really fun, you know. So it's like here I was doing something. Now I can talk to other people. Like, hey, I was in your shoes. Keep going. And now I can give back and relate to people.
What do you see in the future, whether it's a couple months from now, a couple years from now, but like just things that you envision for the Fun Fit Fabulous brand, and then also things that you envision for yourself?
Yeah, it's definitely a transition time. So God willing, graduation's in May. Oh my gosh, girl, it is coming up. It is coming up.
It's gonna be fast.
I know, and it's been such a journey I've been on, and I know you see me on this journey. So it's a lot in the air of just like, hey God, what is this next step? Because for so long I knew this is what I was doing next semester, whatever. Mm-hmm. So I'm really nervous. I don't know, girl. I wish I could tell you. I want to say like, oh, this is exactly, but I don't know. I'm really in a lot of prayer right now, trying to be present. But for the brand itself, I'm excited for this new launch. That's what's coming up recently, like at least coming up soon. We're gonna have a new merch launch where we're wearing today. For the brand, I eventually wanted to be, you know, in Georgia, nationally, and hopefully internationally. It's a social media aspect of it, but it's also on the ground work. And if I could collaborate with bigger organizations like Boys and Girls Club, or even having my own facility doing it, but reaching kids to like empower them and things like that, that would be great. But I also want it to be something as I grow, it grows with us. So it's like, again, there's that give back for the kids, but it's also us, the mature side, the real side, that we're going through so many changes as young women in relationships or life, jobs, career, trying to make it, like those are real too. So I just hope that I can continue to grow with it and hopefully, like, you know, make it not just in Athens, Georgia, but, you know, nationally and internationally, and just like a brand that feels like a sisterhood network, that I can go here, feel motivated, get great connections, and elevate my life and to live my best life, no matter what the circumstances that are around me.
I love that for you. I definitely will.
Thank you.
We're just manifesting. So I always say
So yeah, it's just like, you know, I was crying when you got viral, and I'm just so proud of you because, you know, for you to be on your journey, and whenever the time is ready, like how you said, when it's the time's right to align, is just gonna do what it do. But just to really know, it's like just not a brand. It's like we've been through so much as a family, and just our environments, even being Black women, and just whatever the case may be. There's just so many different barriers, but we are still rising through it all. And it's just not like what I'm just saying. It's a real brand that is about our lives, and no matter what, whoever's trying to stop you or say your dreams are too big or whatever, it's like, no, God has given me a vision and I need to execute that. So it is more than just a brand. It's something that I feel like as a little girl, it's something I tried to really mentally really incorporate in my life to get me to where I wanted to go, you know. And I felt like sometimes you leave your life into other people's hands, it's not how you want it, you know. So it's just like empowering yourself of like, hey, what do I see and how can I make that happen? So that's what Still Arise is really about. And I'm just so happy that you're part of the brand and you're representing who you are so fabulously, and just seeing other people like you, like, hey, I went through life just like you and I'm doing it. It's not easy out here, but life is still beautiful despite all the adversities and struggles that we go through. So
Absolutely. Thank you for that. We need it. But for those watching and did or were curious about where to get the hoodies, where to they shop, or where is it available for them to buy?
yeah, so right now be on the lookout for on our Instagram page, Fun Fit Fabulous. All those details will be there. We have a website, but specifically for this launch, it's going to be its own link. So that will be posted on our page. So follow fun.fit.fabulous to get your hoodies.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Fun Fit Fabulous.
Girl, cracking up.